Hello, everyone. It's time for Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanis. This is episode 205, season 9. Today's date is March 14th, 2023, and welcome to the show. On today's program, two things I will talk about. First, I will talk about the Kinetic Playground Nightclub in Chicago. This is a very interesting topic. Had a very short-lived life. That was located in the uptown neighborhood of Chicago. Also, today is National Pie Day. Not P-I-E, P-I. Also in Greek, which I am, is P. And I will talk about pies, memories of eating pies, and restaurants and brands that I remember all throughout my life. This will be a lot of fun. Okay. Right now, the program will go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by Fleischmann's Margarine. And this is a commercial from 1967. So sit back, kick your shoes off, and relax. And I'll be right back after this commercial. Thank you.
From the goodness of golden corn comes delicious Fleischmann's Margarine. Fleischmann's, so low in saturated fat, because Fleischmann's is made from 100% corn oil, with almost a cup of liquid corn oil in every pound. Fleischmann's can help lower saturated fat in your diet, as many doctors advise for young and old. Tastes delicious too, because it's made from 100% corn oil. Fleischmann's, so low in saturated fat.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Fleischmann's Margarine. This came out in 1967. This product is still around, as other margarines that flooded the TV waves of commercialism, like for example, Parquet, Blue Bonnet, Imperial Margarine. This product, like I said, is still around. This was founded by a man named Charles Louis Fleischmann. He was a Hungarian-American businessman. And let's see, about him, he was, let's see, let me find it. He was born in somewhere in the Bohemian area like that. I'm not sure. Let's see, what's that? Yeah, it's like a Bohemian, the country's changed so much over the years in its history like that. And so him and his brother founded this company. Also, it's not famous for its margarine. It's famous for their yeast, And I believe it's still around. And the earliest memories of Fleischmann's Margarine was, they showed it on commercials. I mentioned this story. I believe I mentioned this story once on a previous podcast. One time on Bozo Circus, Bozo the Clown and Cookie the Clown were going through some junk. And they found this crown. And Bozo said, here's something you could use for Fleischmann's Margarine. Got the wrong margarine. It was for Imperial. You remember the commercials where for Imperial, you would take a bite of a piece of bread with butter, with the margarine on top, and a crown pops on your head. So I think Bozo got the two margarines mixed up. So, believe it or not, my mother still uses this margarine. She does it for baking. And recently, and she says it's a good product. It's better than butter. And she's right. It is tastier. I can't tell the difference between butter and that. It's good. Health-wise, it's important. I understand that. So she still bakes to this day. And then Easter's coming up, and then she'll bake the Greek cookies. Looking forward to that. That's about next month. Okay. Before I get started with the show, I'll mention one thing. I spoke to a nurse from the pharmacy where I get my medications, and I asked her a couple of questions about the medications I take for the Xtandi and the Orgovyx. I still get side effects a little bit. Still a little fatigue, not as bad as the past couple of months. I started taking the medication December 23rd or something like that, but it has subsided, and the Orgovix that's sort of passing away. She said it'll improve. It'll take time, really. And she asked me if I had any pain. I said, not really. No, I'm okay. I like to do some physical activity, like walking. I haven't done much walking. Well, it's been cold lately, and so hopefully, when the weather warms up a bit, hopefully soon, I'll resume my walking. I enjoy doing that, and I will see my regular doctor a week from today. Hopefully, I don't know if I'll do a podcast on that day. We'll see. It depends on timing, and then I'll see my urologist on April 18th. So I have to take a blood test. The PSA. I've mentioned this many times. See if this Extendi's working. If the PSA goes down, I am so happy. If it doesn't, I'll be disappointed. So they gave me good options. So we'll try other medications. So that's good. I hope so. Oh, I pray to God. I hope so. Okay. On with the show. Right. In the beginning of the program, I mentioned I will talk about the Kinetic Playground Nightclub in Chicago, and I will talk about National Pie Day, about memories of eating pie, also places I ate pie that no longer exists, or like some sort of pie brands in Chicago. Okay. So right now I'm going to talk about, of course, the Kinetic Playground Nightclub. It had a very interesting history. So here we go. This club was located at 4812 North Clark Street, on the northwest corner of Clark Street and Lawrence Avenue, I believe, by a man named Aaron Russo. Now, Aaron Russo was a businessman, film producer, director, and political activist. And he produced a lot of famous movies, like, for example, Trading Places, that starred Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. Also, Wise Guys, remember that movie? That was with Danny DeVito and Joe Piscopo in the 80s. Also, The Rose, that starred Bette Midler. And let's see what else. So, let's see who else. He played other movies he produced. Was Teachers from 1984. There was Partners from 1982. That starred Ryan O'Neal and John Hurt. There was also Rude Awakening from 1989. Okay, and there was a movie called Off and Running that starred Cyndi Lauper, the singer. I'd never seen this movie. It's kind of bizarre like that. And so he was mostly involved with Bette Midler. And unfortunately, he passed away August 24th, 2007 of cancer. Okay. And so he opened that club on April 3rd, 1968. But it was known as the Electric Theater. And the building was first built in 1928, and it was like a dance hall. It had an ice skating rink, a roller rink, also known as Rainbow Gardens. Now, that's a separate subject I'll talk about someday. And but that name was short-lived, and because there was a place called the Electric Circus in New York City, and that was also a nightclub as well, and they threatened to sue. So Aaron Russo, well, what was he going to do? He changed the name. He didn't want to avoid a lawsuit. He didn't want to do that. I go, no. Okay, so he changed the name, but there were some flyers and posters that said the Electric Theater, and then later on it turned into the Kinetic Playground. I don't know where he got the name. I don't know. And there were some great acts that performed. Famous rock bands, like, for example, The Doors, Jimi Hendrix, Pink Floyd, The Who, Janis Joplin, The Byrds, The Grateful Dead, Joe Cocker, Eric Burden. I don't know what the animals. Jeff Beck, who just the group. He just died recently. Also, the Small Faces. I think it's with maybe Rod Stewart was part of the band at the time. I would imagine. And Jethro Tull, Deep Purple, Iron Butterfly, Fleetwood Mac performed there. Vanilla Fudge, Muddy Waters, and of course Jefferson Airplane, and of course, last but not least, Led Zeppelin. Oh, that's they performed seven times there, and I think it was about the time their first album was released, and then it just once they performed there, they were on their way to stardom, I believe, or it was a couple of years later, but no, I believe it was that. So that I'm sure a lot of people in Chicago remembered seeing them perform at that time. Ugh. And then later on, they performed at the Chicago Stadium in the '70s, like that. And then their albums are classics. Their songs are classics, and I love them. I love their songs, and they're still great even today. They're great songs. Also, the interior of the venue was featured in the 1969 movie Medium Cool. I think I've seen this movie in clips, not the whole thing. And they filmed it, like I said, in the interior of the place. And it was during the 1968 Democratic Convention. Now, this convention was held at the Conrad Hilton Hotel, where my father worked. And that was a tense time. There was protests at Grant Park, and it was a mess. I asked my father one day, I go, what was going on? He goes, oh, I don't know. Well, he was busy, and he didn't pay attention to it. But then he watched on the news, and I said, Dad, this is what's going on. I talked Greek to him. He goes, oh, okay. He was so oblivious what happened. It was funny. And so they filmed that. Someday I'll watch this show. But then in November of 1969, there was three groups that booked a 3-night gig. There was Iron Butterfly, Poco, and King Crimson. But there was a small fire, and they had to cancel. And then it reopened, and unfortunately, the place closed in June of 1973 because of also there was something with the coding, like the code issues, inspecting. And also, the neighbors were complaining of like when concert was going, they were drinking, they were smoking dope, or like there was nudity. Probably, I hope not. Or kind of bad behavior like that. They plan to reopen it, called the Emerald Isle Discotheque. No, but it never happened. No. But the Rainbow Gardens the roller skating rink and the ice skating rink that remained, and I'm not sure when exactly that closed. But then like I said, I'll talk about that another time. And then in 2003, the building was demolished, and it's now condos. So I took a look at Google, like Google Maps, Google Maps. I saw it, and it looked very nice, but it looks very bizarre because that's where the Kinetic playground was. A funny thing was there was a place that had the same name that was not associated with the Kinetic playground. That was located at 1113 West Lawrence, not too far from that. But that was like I said, not associated at all. No. So, but this is the original, and I've seen a lot of posters on eBay, photos that performers, that performed. Like, for example, Led Zeppelin, The Who, and all that. They're scattered all over the internet. You could just do a search and you can find it. But that was a very memorable place for most people that grew up in the like in the late '60s and the early '70s during the hippie era. You know, sounded like fun. It really does. It really did. Excuse me. Okay. All right. So the second subject I will talk about right now is National Pie Day, and National Pie Day is doesn't really have to do with pies. This is the mathematical constant, the letter. In Greek, it's P. And it's the numbers start with 3.14, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, like that. And I don't know how this started. How was it observed like that? And so it's been recently like that. And so to me, when I was growing up, the letter P was in the Greek alphabet. And I first learned that in first grade at Korea's elementary school. I still can recite the alphabet. Thank goodness for that. And so as for the pies, everyone has a favorite pie. My favorite is lemon meringue. I like lemon meringue, coconut cream. I love apple. Fruit pies, they're okay. I like cherry over apple. I really do. Peach, no, not really. What else? So those are the pies. Of course, the most famous pie restaurant that we have in Chicago was Poppin' Fresh Pies, renamed Baker Square. Now, Baker Square, they were abundant all over the Chicagoland area, and of course in the Midwest, and they were found in Minnesota. As the years went on, they were closing locations, and there were only 3 locations left. There's one in Woodridge, Illinois. This one I went about a few months ago. I was in the area one day, and I had to go because I had a craving for French silk. That's what's famous. Oh, I love French silk. You can get French silk pie at Famous Dave's Barbecue, which I've been told. You can get that. Also, the second location is at the Harlem Foster Shopping Center. That's in Chicago on Harlem Avenue and Foster Avenue on the corner. That shopping center has been there for a long time. I talked about this last week, where Turnstile, a family center store, opened. Also, the third one is in Indiana, at the in Cherville, Indiana, at the Crossroads Shopping Center. So you have 3 locations. It's kind of the closest one to me is Woodridge. I could go to Indiana if I want to, but I got to take the tri-state, and that's kind of far. If I have a craving for it. So Baker Square has been bought by other corporations and all that, and they had I think they filed Chapter 11 about 2020, 3 years ago, and they closed about over 30 locations. And maybe it'll come back. I'm praying. I don't know. I'm hoping for that. So right now, I'm going to play a commercial for Poppin' Fresh. This is from 1982. When I come back, I'll talk about other pies and restaurants. Okay, so just sit back and relax, everyone. Thank you.
At Poppin' Fresh, our pies are legendary, but we know that man does not live on pie alone.
Pop, 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 Poppin' Fresh. Poppin' fresh.
Now Poppin' Fresh has a fresh new menu brimming with new ideas. You can't get fresher than Poppin' Fresh.
Okay, everyone, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial from 1982 for Poppin' Fresh Pies. You know, they did the pop, pop, pop. That's funny. I remember this one. Okay, as for other pies, brands like that, there was also a brand called named Lloyd J. Harris. I don't know much about this pie company. I believe it's from Wisconsin. I should do. I'll do more research on that someday on a podcast episode. But I do remember this brand, and it was in the you found this pie not in restaurants. Maybe you did. I'm not sure. Probably mostly in grocery stores, like for example, Jewel, Dominic's, Hilo Foods, probably National Foods. You know, I think mostly the two, like the ones that were big at the time, Jewel and Dominic's. And I don't know if my mother ever bought one. I don't recall. But I heard it was good, and I know they did pie deliveries, so I assume they did deliver at restaurants and stores as well. And it's probably named by this man. Sometimes his name was spelled with two S's or just one S. It depends. Also, there was the House of Pies. Now, uh, this was founded in 1969 in Houston, but they expanded through Los Angeles and also in Chicago. And there were a few House of Pie restaurants in the area, Chicago, that is. Uh, According to some ads, one was in Oak Park, bordered by River Forest, near like that on Harlem Avenue. Also in Elmhurst and Park Ridge. And I remember seeing this when I was little. Maybe in an ad on TV or from a newspaper. I never went there. And I don't know how long it was in the Chicagoland area. No idea. And but it expanded to in Houston and LA. And some are still around like that. And from according to some people, when I posted on my Facebook page for House of Pies, they remembered the place and they loved it. They enjoyed the pies. They really did. I don't know about the food. I don't know. Who knows? But they had all kinds of flavors, of course. Okay, and then another one was here's an obscure place. It's called let me try that name. It was Case Moody Pies. This was found in the right near Comiskey Park, where it's Guarantee Field, right where the White Sox play, and it was like in the early days, like the early 20th century, and then it was located on like on the west side, like 1807 West Walnut Street, like on the west side, like that, and like I said, a lot of people wouldn't remember it if you're much older. Probably people older than me. I guess they were good. I don't, if they're like that, and you can still find pie tins on eBay if you like. If you're a collector, you know, from what I know is it's probably very good. But I don't want to go into more detail because it has a very interesting history of that as well. Of course, another pie company was Pies by Fasano. Okay, and that was it had that was founded in Chicago a long, long time ago, and that was found in 1946 by a man named Joseph Fasano Sr. And he used to sell pies off a horse-drawn wagon. Oh, of course. And then it expanded And I think the company headquarters was in like around 65th Street and west of Cicero, around that area, right near Midway Airport. And then the company grew. Then they got trucks, and they did deliveries mostly to restaurants. And I remember at the restaurant where my mom worked um, during the 70s. She said there was a Fasano delivery truck, like that. And they deliver pies. Also, they were found in supermarkets, for example, in Jewel and Dominic's. And then they stopped. I don't know when exactly. I don't know. And then it returned. And let's see. Let's see when it returned. Be right there. Okay. And then it returned after a 25-year absence. And now it's made by Peter Fasano, Joseph's grandson. He opened a store somewhere in LaGrange. I think it's closed, but he still makes them, and he still makes the rounds and he sells them. I believe he sells them off a truck, just like his grandfather, with the horse and wagon. And he does sell them by Brother Rice High School. That's on the southwest side of Chicago. The borders Oak Lawn, right over there. My younger brother went to that school, and so that's great. It's wonderful. I have spoken to him. He has a Facebook page. You can order if you'd like, and or you can order online if you like, of course. So he still has the flavors. For example, like let's see what he has. He has apple, Dutch apple, cherry streusel, blueberry streusel, pumpkin, and pecan. Yeah, that sounds great. I'm sure they're delicious. I think so. So that's great. He's carrying on the tradition, like he did with his grandfather and probably his dad. And I have talked to him on Facebook. Very nice guy. Very nice guy indeed. So I hope I continue a lot of success. I wish him a lot of luck of doing that. And I remember pie brands in the stores, like, for example, Banquet, Morton's. There was Chef Pie or something. I forgot the name of it. Lapeer Shy. I don't remember that. There's Mrs. Smith pies. I think it's still around. And of course, there's Marie Callender's. My brother, who lives in California, tells me there are restaurants that are Marie Callender's that are like Baker Square. It's like that. And I asked him, do they have French silk? Do we have, that's similar to, Pop and Fresh, Baker Square? He goes, in a way, yeah, it is. But they're mostly on the West Coast. I don't know about anywhere else. I think just mainly there. He went one time and he told me it was great. It really was. But you can find Marie Callender's in Chicago, in the supermarkets. My mom has bought a couple times. One time she bought lemon meringue. It was delicious. Oh, it was very good. I want they had the coconut cream. Ooh, look sinful. Well, got to watch those calories. But yeah, she bought the lemon meringue or lemon cream. Very good indeed. So I guess a lot of people love pies, and that's why we celebrate National Pie Day today. Okay, so I guess that's it for this program. I'll do a recap of what I discussed. I talked about the Kinetic Playground Nightclub in Chicago. Also talk about National Pie Day, which is today. And now it's making me hungry. I'll be all right at that. So, this this podcast will be published later on today, wherever podcasts are available. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, also Breaker. And also it'll be on my YouTube channel of the same name, Vanishing Chicagoland Stories. I will use the once the video is ready and it's uploaded, I'll share it on my social media accounts, like Facebook, Twitter, and also my blog, vanishchicagoland.blog, so you can listen as well. And I hope everyone have a good day listening to that. Okay, so this is Pete Costanes, your host of Vanishing Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I had a wonderful time. Thank you for joining me. I hope everyone have a good day. And I will do another podcast this weekend. All right. So here's bye-bye for me. And here's Ray Rayner with a little traveling music saying bye, bye, bye. Take care, everyone. Take care, everyone. Excuse me. And so long.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.